It started with something simple, a phone call you didn't answer. You'd been half asleep, the kind of dazed in between where dreams still cling to you like spiderwebs. The room was dark except for the dull glow of the alarm clock on your nightstand, 2:47 a.m. You remember the exact time because the numbers looked oddly sharp through the blur of your half-open eyes. Then, your phone buzzed once, vibrating across the nightstand like it had something urgent to say. You rolled over, squinting at the screen. Unknown number. You frowned. Who even calls at that hour? For a moment, you thought maybe it was an emergency, your mom, your boss, maybe one of your friends drunk and lost. But your brain, still wrapped in sleep, whispered the easiest excuse, it's probably spam. You let it ring until it stopped. The silence that followed felt heavier than before. The phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't a call. It was a voicemail. You turned your face into the pillow and groaned. Whatever it was could wait until morning. But curiosity has its own gravity, doesn't it? You couldn't stop thinking about it. Who leaves a voicemail at 3 in the morning? And why didn't they just text? You gave in. Pressed play. At first, all you heard was static, soft, almost like the ocean. Then a voice broke through it. A woman's voice. Calm, but whispering. Don't go to work tomorrow. That was it. No name. No explanation. Just that one line. You blinked, waiting for more, but the voicemail ended there. A sharp click followed by the faint echo of your own breathing. You replayed it twice, trying to place the voice. It didn't sound familiar, not your mom, not your ex, not anyone from the office. You thought maybe it was one of those creepy AI scam things people talked about online. Yeah, that had to be it. You deleted the voicemail. Threw your phone back on the nightstand and rolled over, laughing quietly at yourself. Creepy, but nice try, you mumbled, forcing your eyes shut. Still, it took a while to fall asleep. The darkness felt thicker somehow. Every creak of the old house made you open your eyes. And just as you started to drift off, you thought you heard the faint buzz of your phone again. But when you checked, there was nothing there. When you finally slept, it wasn't peaceful. You dreamt of ringing phones and static whispers. Every time you tried to answer, your hands wouldn't move. Morning came late. The light through the blinds was sharper than usual, like the sun was punishing you for ignoring something important. You checked your alarm clock, 8:03 a.m. You were supposed to be up an hour ago. Great, you muttered, dragging yourself out of bed. Your phone was still on the nightstand, dark screen reflecting your tired face. You grabbed it, half expecting to see another missed call. But the screen was blank, no messages, no notifications, not even the usual weather alert. Except, your voicemail icon was gone too. Weird. You shrugged it off, showered, dressed, and made coffee. The voicemail had faded from your mind, pushed aside by the rush of running late. But as you were tying your shoes, your phone rang again. Same number. Unknown. You froze, staring at it. The sound of it filled your tiny apartment, bouncing off the walls like an alarm bell. You hesitated, every instinct told you not to answer, but curiosity clawed at you again. You picked up. Hello. No one answered. Just that same soft static. You were about to hang up when you heard something, a faint, rhythmic sound. Breathing. Then a voice, low and distorted, but unmistakable. Your voice. I told you not to go. You froze, the words sinking in slow. The call ended abruptly, and for a long moment, you just stood there with the phone pressed against your ear, listening to the dead tone. You checked the call history. Nothing. No record of the call. No voicemail. Like it never happened. A chill crept through your skin. You tried to laugh it off again, must have been a glitch, Some weird phone virus or spam bot using a recording of your voice. That had to be it. But when you looked at your reflection in the black phone screen, your expression didn't look like someone who believed that. You slipped the phone into your pocket and tried to shake off the unease. You had to get to work. You couldn't afford another late day. Besides, it was just a call. What's the worst that could happen? Still, as you grabbed your keys and stepped toward the door, you noticed something odd. Your phone screen lit up by itself. Just for a second. Enough for you to see your reflection not mirrored, but moving slightly out of sync. You blinked, and it was gone. Just your home screen again. Battery, 66%. Time, 8:45 a.m. You locked the door behind you, unaware that the call had never really ended. You woke up with the kind of heaviness that feels like the world is pressing down on you. Not tiredness, something else. A weight that didn't belong to your body. The air in your apartment felt stale, like it hadn't moved all night. For a few seconds, you couldn't remember what day it was, or why the silence seemed so thick. Then you saw your phone on the nightstand, screen face down, and everything from last night came flooding back. That voicemail. That voice. Those 5 words still echoing somewhere between your ears. Don't go to work tomorrow. You told yourself it was just a prank. Someone with a voice filter, maybe one of your co-workers trying to be funny. Still, when you reached for your phone, your hand hesitated. No notifications. No missed calls. No voicemail icon. Like none of it ever happened. But something had changed. The wallpaper. You'd never noticed it before, but the background photo seemed darker than usual. It was just a shot of your living room, taken months ago, but the lighting looked off now. Dimmer. The shadows heavier. You could swear there was a shape behind the couch that wasn't supposed to be there. You blinked and it was gone. Just pixels and paranoia. You needed to move. The clock read 7:58 a.m. You were already late. You dressed on autopilot, shirt, pants, shoes, while your mind kept replaying the sound of your own voice from that second call. The static, the whisper, the strange echo that made it sound like it wasn't coming from a speaker, but from inside your head. You laughed at yourself again, forcing a bit of normalcy back into your tone. Get it together, you muttered. You're losing it. You poured coffee, checked the time again. 8:19. That's when your phone buzzed. Same number. Unknown. Your stomach dropped. You didn't answer this time. You just watched it vibrate on the counter, screen flashing like a heartbeat. When it finally stopped, you noticed something. No missed call notification again. But when you opened your call log, your reflection in the screen didn't move with you. You set the phone down slowly. It felt heavier than before. That was when the knock came. 3 sharp knocks on the door. Not loud, just precise. You froze, coffee halfway to your lips. Nobody knocks that early, and you weren't expecting anyone. You waited. Nothing. You stepped closer, peering through the peephole. The hallway was empty. But faintly, you thought you saw movement at the end of the corridor, a shadow turning the corner. You backed away, heart pounding, and grabbed your bag. Enough was enough. You needed air, sunlight, people. You'd feel better once you got out of the apartment. You locked the door behind you, still feeling like someone was standing just inches behind. The morning outside looked normal, almost too normal. The street lights flicked off one by one as you walked to your car, the city yawning awake. Birds chirped, cars rolled by, the usual rhythm of life. For a moment, you almost forgot the calls. Then you saw it. A white sedan parked across the street, windows tinted dark. You didn't recognize it. But the moment your eyes met the windshield, the engine started. The car didn't move though. It just sat there, idling, as if watching you. You got into your car and tried to shrug it off. Coincidence. Everyone's paranoid after a weird night. You turned the key, nothing. The car wouldn't start. You tried again. Click. Click. Nothing. Then your phone rang again, loud, sharp, from the cup holder beside you. Unknown number. You picked it up, breath shaking. What do you want? You snapped. Static. Then that same, distorted version of your own voice. I told you not to go. The call ended itself. You looked up, the white sedan was gone. You sat there for a minute, gripping the steering wheel, trying to steady your breathing. Logic fought panic. Maybe you were being pranked. Maybe someone hacked your phone. You could call the police, but what would you even say? My phone told me not to go to work. They'd think you were losing it. So you did the one thing that felt normal, you walked. The office was only a few blocks away, and you needed to prove to yourself that the world was still real. By the time you reached the main street, the sun was fully up. People were walking, laughing, holding coffee cups. The world carried on, unaware of your private nightmare. You started to feel stupid for being so shaken. You crossed at the light. The tall glass tower of your office building gleamed ahead, catching sunlight like a mirror. You were just a few steps from the entrance when a woman's voice stopped you. Familiar. Soft. Right behind you. Don't go. You turned, no one there. The crowd moved around you like you didn't exist. You shook your head, forcing a laugh, and pushed through the doors. The receptionist waved, the elevator dinged. Everything looked the same. Until your phone buzzed one last time. A text this time. From, unknown. Thank you for ignoring me. You frowned, typing back, who is this? But before you could hit send, the ground shook. A single, deafening blast ripped through the air. The glass around you shattered inward. People screamed, chaos erupted. You fell to the floor, ears ringing, smoke and fire swallowing the lobby. Through the haze, you saw your phone still glowing in your hand. One last notification before the screen cracked and went black. 9:15 a.m. missed call. Smoke. That's the first thing you remember. Thick, black smoke curling through the broken lobby, swallowing every sound except the distant wail of sirens. The world had turned into slow motion, glass falling like rain, alarms shrieking somewhere far away, your own pulse hammering in your ears. You were on the floor, half buried under debris. Your phone was gone. The only thing you could hear clearly was your breathing, too loud, too fast. Then, faintly, someone called your name. You looked up through the haze. A coworker, face streaked with dust and blood, was waving frantically near the doorway. You tried to stand, but your legs wouldn't obey. The moment you put weight on your left ankle, pain shot through it like fire. Another explosion? No, just the echo of the first, bouncing through your head. You crawled toward the broken glass doors, dragging yourself into the open air. The cold hit you hard, crisp and merciless. People were screaming, running, some collapsing on the sidewalk. Sirens wailed closer, red and blue lights strobing against smoke. And you just stood there, staring at what used to be your office. Half the front facade was gone. Flames climbed the windows like living things. You could see your desk, or what was left of it, dangling near the edge of a collapsed floor. You should have been there. 9:15 a.m. Exactly when you normally clocked in. Your stomach twisted. That voice, the voicemail, the calls, the warnings, all of it came back at once. The world spun. You sank onto the curb, trembling, your hands coated in dust and something darker. Then your phone buzzed in your pocket. You froze. It shouldn't have. You'd seen it crack, maybe even melt in the blast. But there it was, vibrating softly, as if nothing had happened. You pulled it out, and for a moment your heart stopped. Unknown number. You hesitated. Every instinct screamed don't answer. But curiosity or maybe fate pushed your thumb forward. You pressed accept. At first, silence. Then static. You almost hung up when a voice cut through, calm and familiar. You're welcome. You stared at the screen, but the call ended before you could reply. No duration logged. No record left behind. Just your reflection again distorted in the cracked glass of the phone. For a split second, your reflection smiled, even though you didn't. You dropped the phone. Hours passed in flashes, paramedics, questions, blankets draped over your shoulders. Someone said the blast started on the 9th floor. Gas leak, maybe. Others whispered bomb. Nobody knew yet. The only thing certain was that if you'd arrived on time, you wouldn't be sitting there breathing. You should have felt lucky. Grateful. But all you felt was washed. Everywhere you looked, reflective surfaces, windows, even puddles on the street. You caught glimpses of movement that didn't belong. A figure standing just out of focus, wearing your clothes, moving a fraction slower than you. Every time you blinked, it vanished. By evening, the police had taken your statement. You told them the truth, or most of it. That you'd been running late. That you heard the explosion. You didn't mention the calls, not the first one, not the voice that sounded like your own. How could you? You barely believed it yourself. You walked home instead of taking a ride. The city looked different now, sharper, colder, every shadow humming with energy. You couldn't shake the feeling that the world had nudged itself slightly out of place. That somehow, by surviving, you'd stepped into the wrong version of it. Your apartment door was unlocked. You froze on the threshold. You were sure you'd locked it this morning. You remembered the click. Slowly, you pushed it open. The lights were off, but you could hear something faint, rhythmic, like breathing. You flicked the switch. The room was empty. Everything looked exactly as you'd left it except your phone, sitting on the kitchen counter. Perfectly clean. Not cracked. Not broken. The screen lit up by itself. One new voicemail. Received, 9:15 a.m. Hands shaking, you pressed play. See? You didn't listen before. Now you owe me. There's a balance for every warning. Tomorrow, when your phone rings again, answer it. The message ended with the sound of breathing. You're breathing. You dropped the phone again. It clattered onto the tile, screen flickering before going dark. You stared at it for a long time, half expecting it to ring immediately, but the silence stretched on. You didn't sleep that night. Every sound, the wind, the creak of the walls, the hum of the refrigerator, felt like it was waiting for something. You kept glancing at the clock. 2:47 a.m. came and went, but the phone stayed quiet. Until just before dawn. A faint buzz. Your heart lurched. You turned toward the nightstand. The screen was black, yet the vibration didn't stop. You picked it up, expecting the same unknown number. But there was no number this time. Just a single word. Me. You didn't answer. You couldn't. You just stared at it until it stopped. The moment the buzzing ended, the apartment went dead silent. Then, from the hallway outside, came 3 slow knocks, the same rhythm as before. You didn't move. After a few seconds, a voice on the other side of the door whispered, almost gently. It's your turn now. Morning came like a ghost, quiet, pale, and unwelcome. You hadn't slept. You just sat there in the living room, watching the first light bleed through the blinds, your phone lying face down on the coffee table like a loaded gun. The last thing you remembered before dawn was that final message. Me. And then the knocking. You hadn't answered the door. You couldn't. Something deep inside you, older than fear, told you that opening it would change everything. Now, in the cold daylight, you almost convinced yourself it was a dream. The kind that clings to your skin long after you wake. Except for one thing, the phone was still on, even though you'd powered it off last night. And the screen glowed faintly with a new notification. One missed call, 2:47 a.m. The same time. Every night. You picked it up. The screen felt warm, like it had been alive. There was a new voicemail waiting. You didn't want to play it. But your thumb moved on its own. Static filled the room. A breath. Then your voice again, only this time slower, softer. You're not supposed to be here. You felt your stomach turn. The voice on the recording wasn't just yours, it was tired, like it came from somewhere far away, through walls, through time. I told you not to go to work, it continued. You were supposed to die there. That's how it ends. But you didn't listen. And now. The static swelled, cracking in and out, as if something else was pushing through the signal. Now someone else has to take your place. Then the voicemail cut off. You stared at the phone. The message timestamp read 9:15 a.m., the exact moment of the explosion. You dropped it again. But this time, the phone didn't hit the floor. It stopped halfway down, hanging in the air, suspended as if invisible hands held it there. You stumbled back, knocking over a chair. The phone slowly rotated midair until the screen faced you. The cracked glass pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. And then the voice came not from the speaker this time, but from the air around you. The universe doesn't like deaths. The lights flickered. Every reflection in the room, the mirror, the TV screen, the window shimmered with movement. Your reflection was there in each one, but slightly off. A second behind. A breath slower. And every one of them was smiling. You should have listened, one of the reflections whispered. You backed away, trembling. Who are you? You managed to say, your voice cracking. The reflections all answered at once, overlapping. We are what's left when you survive what was meant to end you. The room darkened, the sunlight fading as if time itself had slowed. The reflections leaned closer to the glass, faces pale, eyes hollow. You took a life that wasn't yours to keep, they said together. Now, you must return it. You shook your head, heart pounding. I didn't ask to live. I didn't know. You were warned. The phone in the air buzzed once more, and this time it wasn't a ringtone. It was the same low hum you'd heard in the explosion, deep and distant, like the world itself exhaling. On the screen, a single name appeared where unknown number used to be. Debt collector. Before you could react, the lights went out completely. Darkness swallowed the room. Then a knock. 3 sharp knocks, exactly like before. You didn't move. Couldn't. Your phone floated toward the door on its own, glowing faintly in the dark, leaving a trail of cold light. It pressed itself against the wood and vibrated once, twice, 3 times. The door creaked open. Outside stood a figure. Silhouetted against nothingness, no hallway, no world beyond, just black. The figure looked like you. Same height. Same posture. But its eyes were hollow, flickering like the screen of a dying phone. It smiled. You missed your call, it said. You tried to speak, but no sound came out. Your throat locked. The figure reached out a hand. A thin current of static rippled from its fingertips, crackling in the air. It's okay, it whispered. I'll answer for you this time. You stumbled backward as it stepped over the threshold. The moment its foot touched your floor, your phone dropped from the air, completely dead now. The figure's shadow merged with yours. For a second, the room felt impossibly still. Then, every reflection in the apartment blinked all in unison, and where your reflection should have been, there was only empty glass. When the neighbors found your apartment 2 days later, the lights were still off. The phone sat on the table, battery drained, screen cracked down the middle. The last outgoing call on record was at 2:47 a.m. Dialed number, your own. Weeks later, a new tenant moved into your apartment. The landlord swore he'd cleared everything out, but somehow, the phone remained powered on, screen glowing faintly with a voicemail notification. The message was short. A whisper. Don't go to work tomorrow.